Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sadhasya Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sakana Bhavadu, Sakana Punakt, Sakavidyam Karabhavahai, Tejasvina Vadidamastama Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Guru Mokshunam Hidarthaya Tattva Bodha Abhidiyate. Namaskaram. So we are probably today we finish off the particular vichara we started, the Atma Vicara. This is done for the Mumukshunam. I just want you to recall the term Mukshu. Mukshu means the one who desires for moksha, or mukti. So we have to really keep that context in mind. The laboring that we are doing to understand ourselves is for the moksha. But then what is this moksha? Do I really need it? So the definition of moksha is given very differently for a different context. But it all leads to a state where there is no grief. And also a positive reinforcement, there is an eternal bliss. So we cannot really say that we don't seek happiness, that we don't seek an escape from the grief. And therefore, where do we get this? If this is truth, then I look for the truth. If this is God, I must look for the God. That is why in many religions and in many part of even our religion itself gives you a means to figure out the abode of God. You know, we always try to think somewhere remote, far ahead. God is not here. Therefore, if I can be with God at his feet or serving him or in his world or somewhere where he thinks happiness is the only thing, then we would be happy there. So the Vedanta, therefore, giving you that kind of hope to us so that, you know, remember the Arundhati Jnanam. So it is trying to give you, yes, there is a place where there can be happiness. This is called Svarga and do good things. So by doing that, it refines our mind. Then it also gives an injection of medicine. If you're looking for something which you do not have now, which naturally means it is not anadi, it comes to you at a time, but then it will go away. By the way, go and do the punya, go to Swargaloka, all that it says. So it gives you both, in one hand the sweet, other hand this little medicine, so that at some stage we realize if there is something which is not here now, and if it comes again, it will go away. Therefore, something which should be eternally with me should be already existing eternally with me. If that is happiness, why I'm not happy? So that is why the Vedanta says something that you can not attain, but realize, something you don't need to do, but just by knowing that you are that happiness that you're looking for. So then the question of God comes into picture. The remoteness of God is therefore have to be thrown away. God cannot be somewhere remote from here. The moment God is remote, it means there is a space where there is no God, is it not? Therefore, the God sitting somewhere else is absolutely not the right assumption. So God should be everywhere. But then the problem, therefore, is not the definition of God that matters. It is our inability to see the God who is everywhere. See, in all this angle, Vedanta is trying to make you think only about yourself. The happiness is not elsewhere, it is in you. God is everywhere, but you cannot see. It's your problem. Therefore, it is giving the key back to us, saying that don't need to go everywhere, don't need to do anything. But all that you do is to only to prepare to come to this position of taking the key from me. That the key to unlock my true potential, not even potential, my true nature, has to be this key. This key is given to me only when I have the state of mumukshu. What is the state of mumukshu? To have unquenched thirst, a desire which is so deep that I want to get that. This is very evident. If you go to business school, they teach you to achieve anything, you think about it, work towards it, 100%. Therefore, it is not just for a session in a Sunday class, but it has to be an ingrained desire for you, which you already have, to reshape it, that fulfillment, the happiness, the unattached, untouchable state of bliss is inside me. Therefore, I must get the key. Therefore, I have the first qualification, that I have the desire, mumukshuna. But then we saw the key is magnetic, so powerful. To hold the key and to unlock ourselves, we need the tenacity of intellect, purity of heart. Therefore, it gives you adhikaratva. It gives you what are the qualifications you should prepare. Again, it is inward focus. That's why we have to do this puja, karma yoga, all this navratri dhyanam, all this to not for attaining anything outside. It will come and go. It is to have the key. So we know the lock, we know the key, we know how to get it. Therefore, we have been asking the question, what is it I am? So Atma Tarhika, Sachidananda Swarupaka, Sat Kim, Kala Trayepi, Tishtadi Iti Sat, Chit Kim, Jnana Swarupaka, Ananda Kaha, Sukha Swarupaka. So we asked this question and we got the answers, and then we wanted to understand this. So we borrowed the statement from one of the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. It said, Om Brahmavit Apnoti Param Tadesha Bhiktaha Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nigidam Guhayam Paramivyoma Soshnate Sarvam Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipaschiti. So we gone through this, that the which I am seeking, the Param, the Moksham, the supreme fulfillment, the Brahman, the Atma, the Shivam, the Vishnu, whatever you want to call it, that which you seek, the supermost happiness, to achieve this, to attain it. See, the language is weak, so we say attain it. So it's not an object to attain, it's attaining the realization of it. You have to know this Brahman. Therefore, we've gone through this in deeper in the last two sessions. By just knowing what is Brahman, what is Atma, I become that Atma. No, I don't become an Atma. I realize I am the Atma. So we saw that. Then we took this thing, although it is only one word, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam is just one word. For our understanding, is split into three parts. Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma. And then we look at the Satyam as something which is existing. And we analyzed it and say, it is very evident, because in Vedanta, we check everything to at least to get into our yukti, into our intellect, that this is not contradicting. It may have some little space of difficulty to understand, but in a context-wise, it sits well with you, logically. So we said Satyam is everything is existence. If you see an object, it exists. It may change its form. It may change its name. We took an example of, a book, and a book is a collection of papers, and you burn it, is a collection of ash. There is an existence of things. Even if you take the ash and you submerge into water, it becomes molecules and atoms. So there is always a subtle existence which we call it Satta. So we said the name and form are mithya, we can ignore it. Therefore, the Brahman or a Satyam, the Atma. Please remember, whenever I say Atma, don't think something else we're talking about, some God picture. It's about ourselves. So for unashamedly, we should think about, when you talk about God, when you talk about Atma, Brahman, we talk about ourselves. So therefore, the existent part, there is an existence in me, Satta in me. In fact, it is not in me, that is me. The moment we know that, then we become Kaladita, Mrityunjaya, because it cannot die. It exists all the time. It may exist in different form. Therefore, my worry of death is no more there. My worry of form maybe. You understand? So I don't need to worry about death. Anybody's death I don't need to worry about. Don't need to regret about it. But if you really want to have an embodiment, maybe we think about the form. And there are ways and means in which you can get the form that you want to get in, even when you die. That's why we have all the yogas and other margas are there. Therefore, it gives you, because happiness, the counter of happiness is bhayam, fear. That's why we seek abhayam to the God. Where there is fear, where the head held high, where the heart is pure, that's where the bliss is. So death is the biggest fear, and we know that we are Satta. We will never die. The form may change. So we saw that. Then we saw the Anantam is as into three different limitations. We look at it: time limited, space limited, and vastu parichinnam, objectivity limited. So if I can objectify something that is not me, because I objectify it, I am a subject. Therefore, everything object has got a form, time limited, space limited. I am a subject, therefore I am not limited by it. Therefore I am Anantam. So we discussed that, and then we also talked about the last class about Jnanam. So nice to know that we exist all the time. Nice to know we are unlimited. But you see, whenever I say this thing, the nice comes with the verb to know. If I do not know I exist, what's the point of that? That's why knowing is central to it. Consciousness, awareness is central to it. That's why Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam is one word. The Jnanam that I am, I exist. Always remember this. Even if you ask an atheist or one who doesn't believe in God, I think he's got a perfect alibi to say, I don't believe in God, because he hasn't seen it. Why should he believe in it? He can say anything that he doesn't see it, he will not believe it. He can say that. Even though you don't see stars in the daytime, if I tell you that stars exist and you don't see it, can you say stars don't exist because you don't see it? But he can still say that. But even to that person, if you ask, do you exist? He has no proof for it. He needs no proof for it. Therefore, if the Vedanta is a taboo, and if it is worried about the God and Ishtadevada, Kuladevada, all this, you don't have this faith, you are an abstract guy or a girl, you want to look at it intellectually one day. Even then, you have to have faith in your own existence. That's fine. So if you say, I don't even believe I exist, then I think you are in trouble. But if you believe that your existence is absolutely proven, then you've got a good platform. That's what we need. So that comes out of consciousness. So the importance of consciousness, therefore, is very, very vital. And we also briefly touched upon this in the last session, that it is not the consciousness that we generally use in the term, in the medical terms or in the psychology. You know, I give an example of, when somebody is in coma, he does not give any response to the external stimuli. So he is said to be unconscious that time. But if they do put in the electrodes in the brain, they do some brain activity. So we need to find another word for it. So we don't use those terms for. That's why I would rather prefer we say Chit or Chaitanya. But we have to use consciousness in English. But remember, this is something without any objective holding. I know something. Then you'll say, okay, know of what? Know of this, know of that. So I have an object. Therefore, can you therefore say, if there is no object, there is no knower, there is no knowledge? They're two different things. It is very difficult to understand because we don't think about it. No, we don't think about thought and awareness. We don't think. Awareness is different from thought because you can be aware of your thinking. It is so subtle. When you sit very quietly for a minute, close your eyes and think that you will not think anything else. What do? You just observe your thought. It comes as a thought to you. Therefore, you think, no, I am thinking about not thinking. This dichotomy is because, as I told you before, to express your vritti, you need an instrument. But recognizing the thought is different from the thought itself. Ambal is called, Shivam is called, Prakasha. Ambal is called Vimarsha Rupini. Prakasham is the effulgence, consciousness. It has absolutely no way of expressing itself. It is there. The expression comes out of a power of this effulgence. That is Shakti. It's one and the same. But as a Viveki, we always dissect everything. Therefore, we dissect that which is consciousness. When it expresses, where does it express? In the mind. So the consciousness is something which is not holding to any object, but enlightening the mind to know the object. So mind is a Vimarsha Rupini, the Maya Shakti, Icha Shakti. The power of it comes from the effulgence of consciousness. This is a little bit subtle to understand, but just stay with me. Let's see how we can do this. But to finish the definition, what we did, therefore, because we analyzed into Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anandam Brahma, and when we understand each other, we try to cross-correlate, therefore they sit comfortably. So in Satyam, we saw the name and the form, and we say it's Mithya. What is Mithya? Mithya is not illusion. Mithya is the Rupam, which has no Swatantra, no independent existence. It always exists on something else. It comes and goes. It's an effect, it's Karyam. Do we need Mithya? Yes, everything is Mithya. You see me, I am Mithya. Because in 10 years' time, I may look very different. But my Chaitanyam remains. Therefore, we said we will not take this Mithya into the Jnanam definition. We take this pure consciousness, like a pure existence. What is pure existence? Satha. What is pure consciousness? Chit, Chaitanyam. What is pure happiness? Anandam. So the pure is added in front of it, an adjective. What is pure here? It's not just pure means just blemishless. That's one meaning. Of course it is. Pure means it has no holding on any object. Existence, just it is. What exists, where exists, location. Once you put these limitations, it becomes an object. Jnanam, just it is. Jnanam about what? Then it becomes an objective knowledge. Anantam is anandam, happiness. Happiness about what? If I say because I passed the exam, it becomes sukham. Because if I fail, I will be grieving. So this is nothing to do with this sukham, dukkham. It is the absolute tranquil state of existence. So now you can see Satyam Jnanam Anantam is one word of pure existence, consciousness, bliss, which is uncolored, untouched by any objective. And if that is Brahman or that is Atma, I am that. That is not I feel. When I say I feel, I have already come down from my conscious level to where I feel in my mind. Therefore, when I don't feel comfortable with Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that feeling that I have, or the thought I have, or my decaying body, I see it, it does not correspond to this statement. That is fact. Agree. The reason being, you are not pure anymore. Again, remember, pure not means you are ugly, dirty. Pure means you become sullified by an objective holding. Because I say I feel, where does the feeling happens? Whereas ideas come in your chittam, in your mind. Is my chittam is not me? Don't ask the question because we've gone through that phase. We are not this Sthula Sariram, Sukshma Sariram, Karma Sariram, Panchakosham. We've gone through all those. I am not that. They are anatma. I know it. But it only there I have the feeling that I am not this. That is given because you need that instrument to have expression, vimarsharupini. Therefore, the idea is use that instrument very nicely so that you are able to see that you are pure consciousness. See, the shift now is again, you see, you cannot really go away from the mind, your body. Even though we say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, this is the treasure that we have. We have to use it very nicely to understand ourselves. Therefore, I'm not discarding them as I don't need it. Therefore, never ever, disrespect your body, never squander it, exercise, meditate, eat food, good food, don't do over fasting. All this, you do everything to make sure that you live comfortably, knowing that you maintain it only to identify your true self to be this pure existence, pure jnanam, pure bliss. Because you need this tool. Therefore, this tool's interim statement that I am not bliss, I am angry today, I am sad today, you ignore it, smile like a child does something blabbering, you just smile at it and say, no problem, child. Like that, just don't fight the mind. Okay, mind, you are feeling sad. Fine, I will handle this because I know I am Chaitanya. But I think I want to spend a few more minutes on this to give you a little bit more on this because this is very important. So this is called, this consciousness, we use another word called Chitakasham. Chitakasham has got two words, Chit and Akasha. Chit means Chaitanyam. as I recommend to you, always please hold on to these words. I would send you the list of words maybe later that we've gone through it. It really build your vocabulary and your knowledge and as a building block. So chit is not chittam. Chittam is memory. Chit is the consciousness. Akasha. Akasha we know. Akasha we generally call the space. So Chitakasha is a space of consciousness. See, because we cannot understand anything without a form or a name, even though we are looking for something which is formless and nameless, Veda is giving you this name and form. So what is this Chitakasha? So what is this Akasha? Bhagavan Ramana, you may all know it, and if you do not know, he is a great Maharishi who had, I mean, many janmas of tapas and yoga. And when he was young, he had this, he was a very naughty boy, and at one particular time, and it was very curious, and he enacted death, and he just lied down and what it is. And when you are very mature, when you are spiritually mature, you don't need this Vedas, you don't need all the Shastras, anything, Tattvamasi or any such word, you are that, would enough, just trigger it up. And like Rama had the same thing when the father's voice and like that. So he then, rest is history. He realized that he is not this body mind, and he is Chitahasam. I am this supreme consciousness. But he still need a focus, and his Chitahasam come to him as a Tiruvannamalai, a beautiful hill temple. And he goes there, and he does penance, and he then becomes, everybody knows everybody realized what a supreme being he is. And so when someone asks a question about this Chitakasam, and he's very fond of Yoga Vasishtam, and he took one of those slogam, and my father's told me, I remember, I never understood when he was telling me when I was very young, and even now I don't understand fully, but I can see the context of it. And this says, like, in a different story, Yoga Vasishtam is an extremely enchanting book, Vasishta. And this particular one, Chittahasam Chidakasham, Akasham Tritiyakam, Dvabhyam Sunyataram Vidhi, Chitakasham Varanane. In the context of that Yoga Vasishtam, he talks about the soul being in a space which is of three different kinds. We will go into this detail some stage, but I think Bhagavan Ramana used this to answer the question that somebody asked about this. There's one Tamil Siddha had a song in which he says he wants a power. You know what the power he wants, the Swami? He wants a power to roll this space as a carpet. We think he's mad. How can you roll this space? Space is not a matter, is it not? So Bhagavan therefore explained this using this one. So I think this is very, very contextual. So let us understand, what is this space? If you ask the definition of space, they will say, okay, space is emptiness, right? So you can say, look, I reserve this space for my car. So when somebody comes there to park, you say, don't come, the space has been reserved for my car. So there is an emptiness you demarcate a part and say this space. In Sanskrit, the word for emptiness or to accommodate something is called avakasha. So here you use the space to denote avakasha, right? So even physicists go the same, to take the same route first. It is accommodating space. Therefore, space is therefore emptiness in which you can put matter. You can park one car, two cars, three cars. But you can see the space is there, so much space is there on the earth, on this sky. Space is always there. If it is emptiness to fill up things, then if you keep on going to space, you will see a lot of galaxies, and there are, say, billions and billions. But there may be a point where there is no more. We don't know. So what is beyond that one? So we get into a problem that we cannot really use the definition very well. Some say, okay, don't go to the emptiness part, because that is, space is meaningless. There is no object. Like, if you want to say the distance between me and and you, for example, then there is a space. I can measure it. When there are no people there, what can I measure? So if I can't measure it, it doesn't exist. This is the classical view. Therefore, space does not exist when there is no matter. Very important to understand. So one of the view that first is emptiness, that leads to a problem. Then you take objects, only object there is space. That means when there is no matter, there's no space. But that sounds very ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, how can you say that? Space exists, we see it. Do you really see the space? Yes, I see it. No, you don't see the space. You see the avakasha. You see the emptiness of it. You don't see the space. We are going to study the space in the next chapter in Tattva Bodha. We go into greater details. Space can be only heard. Again, that's just a marker. So Bhagavan says this Bhuta Akasha. He is now bringing these three Akasha into the first one. Bhuta Akasha means the physical space. Look at the English word. Physical space. The moment I say physical, it is gross, it is objectified, it is matter. But then the classical physicists, no, it is not matter, it's beyond matter, it contains matter. Then you need a rishi like Einstein to come and say, yes, space is matter. It has got another dimension to it called time. Therefore, there's a curvature. Every object you see, it is surrounded by a space-time curvature. The whole earth is with a space-time curvature. We are inside this, we cannot see it. The moment you say it is space-time curvature, it is matter, what is matter means? It is inert, insentient. But then, in Vedas, in mantras, we say Akasha is God. In Chidambaram, if you go to Chidambaram, South India, everybody knows Chidambaram is a very famous temple. There Swami is seen as Chidambara Ragasyam, called a secret of Chidambaram. When there is a Mahavishnu is in a sleeping pose, and there is a idol of Lord Shiva as Nataraja. But the main Swami is just a screen. When you open it, just an empty space. They show the Parthana. Akasha, space. If Einstein and all this thing proves that space is a matter, how can it be the God? Here there's a difference. The space that we call matter is Bhuta Akasha. we never know all the six. We only know everything is one. Now we divide into a gross body, sthulam, sukshma, and karanam, causal. So we know that, you remember, when you do that stula form and subtle form. So the space that you see is a gross form, bhutakasha. It is so subtle, you can't see it, smell it, but it is a matter. It's like a clay. You can do it. It can stretch it. Okay. So if the world is stretching, is it stretching now? It does. Like, like my computer and I currently sitting there, maybe it is a 60 centimeters. The world may be stretching right now. It may be compacting right now. But I don't see that. It's still 60 centimeters away from me. That is because my ruler is also stretched, because he's also part of this world. See, amavasyam. Ama means the moon. Vasya means attraction. Amavasya means the attraction of the moon and the earth. When they are attracting each other, what happens when you attract? You get pulled and pushed. The earth expands, contracts. Do you feel it? Not at all. Because everything is moves. You don't even know that you are moving. It is rotating at something like 6,000 or 7,000 miles. Second, you don't see it. So there is no conflict of interest when we say Akasha is Atma. This is not Bhutakasha. There is something else. It's called Chitakasha. We need to know what is Chitakasha. So, but to know Chitakasha, we must know what is Bhutakasha. So the physics has no quarrel with Vedanta. The only thing is, when Einstein put this paper, many really, the jaw dropped and they didn't like it, they didn't expect it, and they wondered, and they revered, they worshipped him. Only if we can go back to Upanishad and Vedantas and see how more given about Bhudakasha, Chittakasha, Chitakasha, the human mind in the Indian subcontinent, in those rishis, has done so much. How many Nobel Prizes you need to give it to them? But somehow we do not attach reverence and importance to it because we are so objectified in this world. Even though we don't understand, nobody understands this classical physics equation, quantum equation, but they say it is. Nobody understands COVID virus formula. Science says it, then we all say, why can't we say the science as Shastra says it? We have a kind of alakshyam when you say Shastra said, how ignorant we are, how stupid we are. Is a reverential part is our Shastras, the opportunity to even to understand it, whatever age that we are, and if it gets it now, it is blessed as our deeds and our janmas, and we are very fortunate to hear, read, and understand this. So unless we have, I'm just sidetracking because it's very important to me that we don't read for just knowledge alone. We read for understanding. I used to always wonder when I was young, when in say Bharat movie, Punya Bhumi, and we lived in a place and full of litter. I said, how can it be Punya Bhumi? I look at it in the television, I see the Western countries with so much of immaculate state of life. How can Bharat Bhumi is Punya Bhumi with all this litter? I'm trying to understand now. This is because of this kind of seers and knowledge that comes in there. That's why they are all called Dhiras. Like, Einstein is a courageous person and scientist. I call him as a rishi. There are few scientists, I revere them as a rishis, and of course you do as well. So Dhiras. So the Bhutakasham is a physical space. Emptiness cannot be defined that. Matter cannot define that. Stretches, contracts, holds. Therefore, this Siddha's part of song of rolling this carpet as a carpet? Yes, it's possible. In fact, when you spread your carpet to sleep, you know what you do? You roll the space into your mind. Your Bhutakasha means you are every day, you and I every day in a deep sleep, rolling away your Bhutakasha. It is reality. But we do not know it. Okay. If it is containing everything, empty space, billions of galaxies, it must be huge. But still, it is very tiny to what is called Chitta Akasha. I just now proved it to you because the Bhutakasha is the beyond the cosmos. In the deep sleep, I roll it as a carpet, it is gone. Therefore, in the dream, for example, if I drew, so my mind is one which actually spreads it out. How do you know galaxies exist? You have to look at the telescopes, you do the physical formulas, you deduce it, inference it, everything is in the mind. Therefore, the Bhutakasham is spawning in your mind. Therefore, mind or the Chittakasham is infinitely larger than the Bhutakasham, infinitely fast, infinitely superior. Therefore, your mind, my mind, and our mind, everyone's mind contains everything else in this world, beyond the world. Well, you go crazy because you come to Vedanta class. These things will come and it'll make you think crazy. But there is truth in it. Therefore, the mind is something inside my body, doesn't sit very well. It is very easy because it's something I don't see, therefore it's inside. But it is bigger than the body, bigger than the Bhutakasha. Therefore, mind is somewhere out there. I am inside it. Well, if the mind is out there, then everybody should be inside it. Yes? That's called the cosmic mind. You see, they say in horoscope, they look at it, they say your Shani Dasha is going something wrong and you will suffer. So we all go through this kind of a karma bina and karmas, karma palas. But every organism go through it. Every collective organism go through it. In a plane crash, you sit, and if you do a law of karma, you have to say that everybody's passenger's karma is to die. A country goes through, a prosperous country. Greece was such a prosperous country. Nairobi was, Ethiopia was once great emperors were there. It's going down. So the cosmic mind, the collective mind, again I use the word very carefully, mind, because we know mind is inert, Sukshma body, Sukshma Sarira. But it is still bigger than the Bhutakasha. So I am not the body. It may be in this, 5 feet 8 inches, 7 inches here, or could be the whole of Bhutakasha. I am not that because this is Anatma. But it is contained within the Chittakasha. The Chittakasham. The Chittakasham is just the Vimarsha Rupini, which is basically the expression of what is cognized. If you go to a movie theater and you see a movie, you don't say you're watching the screen, white screen. No, white screen is forgotten. Then the picture comes in. There are so many pictures come and go. The mind like that brings you so many vision, 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimensions. The dimensions can increase depending on how sharp your mind is. Our human mind, human species is so much evolved. We are able to cognize physically 3-dimensional object and mentally 4-dimensional object, or if you are very clever, 5-dimensional object. What is the 4th and 5th dimension? 4th dimension is the time. 5th is the inverse of time, the space. So therefore, there is a possibility of the multi-dimensional view of things can be done, not by polishing the Bhutakasha. Bhutakasha is simple, just three-dimensional space. But the importance cannot be rejected, because you see, when you see a house, you see a house full of brick and mortar on the wall. No, but you don't see the space. Space that makes a house. You read the screen now, the screen shows letters. The letters exist because the avakasha between the spaces. If you remove all the spaces, what happened? All the letters comes, it becomes a point. There's nothing there. The space, which is emptiness, is in fact not emptiness, it is Purnam. It is showing you everything else. All the mithya, the forms that create on the space, dancing around as letters in this one or pictures on the screen, they exist because they are supported by the space next to it, underneath, over both. Therefore, for this, to treat this example, when what the Vedas show you, first it shows this Swami is, when you're born, the first thing you see is a mother, and she feeds you, she makes you happy, she's everything to you. Therefore, Mata, you are looking for a God, Mata is God. Then you realize the Mata gave birth to you because of the father, and father is the one who enabling you to do it. Then you see Mata and Pita as your God. Then they realize, okay, Bhuta Kasha they are. Then you take to the Guru and say, the Guru will show you this one. The Guru shows you your Chittakasham has to be cleaned up. He gives you exercises, abhyasas, elevates you from the, forget about, live in a very miserable life, live in a very simple life, toil. Don't worry about your bhutam, don't worry about your body, suffer through, especially when you're young, because you are prepared to take high stand in life. But he's focusing on Chittakasham, give you perfection. Then you become intellectually very sober. You understand everything. Then you become ahankara. I know everything. I don't need Veda anymore. I can teach you. But then, what Adi Shankara says, Manobuddhi ahankara, chittani naham, nashotra jikvena, shagdhana netre, chavyo bhumina, tejona vayu, chidananda yogam, shivokam. Now, manobuddhi ahankara chittani nagam. I'm not mind, I'm not intellect, I'm not ahankaram, I'm not chittam. He just completely rejects Bhutakasham and Chittakasham. Yeah, give me knowledge. I use the knowledge. I use my mind. I use words and write poetry, bhashyams. I do debates. I give you lectures. But I'm not that. Chitananda Rupam, Chitakasha Rupam, anything you can say. Because Anandam is Akasham. Anantam is Anantam. I told you before. Why Anantam is Anantam? Anantam means what? No boundaries. Akasham, no boundaries. When there is no boundaries, what it means? It is fulfilled. Nothing can be added, nothing can be removed. Completely packed, fulfilled. That's why it's called fulfillment. Fulfillment is Anandam. So is the Anantam or Anandam, it's the same. So Chitakasham, Chidanandam, Chidanantam, everything is the same. And then he says, Shivokam. You don't need to say, okay, I am a Vaishnavi, therefore I don't say Shivogam. Shivam means auspiciousness. Vishnu means pervasiveness. Akasha is Vishnu, pervasiveness. Shivam is auspiciousness. Vishnu, Agnim, both are the same. Here, importance is, Adi Shankara is saying, Chidananda Rupam, Shivogam, Shivogam. I am that. Why does he say that? He says that because he wants us to say this. If he knows it, why does he have to brag about it? Why does he have to say it? He can just sit there. There are so many rishis and tapasvis who we do not even know they exist today, existed before. They are there. They look at their emancipation. They get their liberation. They go away. They have no impact to the world. But being there, they impact. Of course, I take back what I say. The impact is by being there, they create harmony without their projecting themselves. There are many. But there are those who say it openly. Like, but here he says, I'm not this, I'm not this. But Bhagavan says in Vishnu Darshanam, just now we heard, I am this, I am this. How do you balance it? Guru is Devam, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Sadguru is saying, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Paramatma is saying, I am this, I am this, I am this. Who should I follow? Both are the same. Both are saying the same thing. Here the Guru is teaching you, your Chittakasam. First of all, realize that you are not this name and the form. Therefore, you negate all the mithya. So Shankara is saying, Mano Buddhi Hankar Chittani. Mind is mithya. Buddhi is mithya. Ahankara is mithya. How do you check it's mithya? Very simple rule. If you can objectify it, if you can see it, you can see all this. So once you see everything, that you are Chidakasam, the everything, the Purnam, then Shankara will always say the same thing like what Bhagavan says, I am everything. You see, there's nothing empty. Everything is Purnam. Sunyam is Purnam. Sometimes people say, Buddha Shunyavata is different. No, Buddha has clarity in mind. Somebody who came afterwards has interpreted very differently because they were trying to, when you compromise in life, when you give a sentence and you talk to somebody, of course you must talk to them to appeal to them in their context, in hitam, but not change your truth. You don't say things to please somebody because even though you don't believe in it, then you become a mithya. You fall away in this. You always say what is the right thing for it. So therefore here he says that one. So I label this point because it's very important to understand because we will be discussing, okay, I understand space. The reason why space is given example to God is to show that it is the most subtlest form that we can define, formless but still containing everything. But it is not Bhuta Kasha, because the Bhuta Kasha becomes swallowed up in my deep sleep. Therefore, what is swallowing it? My causal mind, that is my Chitta Kasha. But what create the consciousness is Chitta Kasha. It always exists, never sleeps. You cannot roll it up because that is you. Therefore, Akasha has got many aspects of it. But now I need to know, how is all created? Why all these things happen? Why I do not know that myself? I mean, this is fundamental, right? So everybody should know themselves. But God is created to make sure that you know everything else other than yourself. This is strange. Strange is divinity. That's why it's called Trivalayadal, divine play. The only way Ambal wants to do is to create us and remove the recognition that you are nothing other than herself, because she created. I say she because it's Navaratri, think about Shakti as a Parabrahma. She takes from her. See, Ambal came out where Om Shri Mata Chitakni Kunda Sambodha. In Lalita Chitakni, Chit Agni. You can use other word, Chitakasham, Chitanandam, Chit Agni. Agni is the fire, the effulgence of light. In the consciousness, she comes out. Why she comes out? Deva Sampuda. Devas are Indriyas, all your senses. Chittakasham. Basically to enlighten the Chittakasham, your mind, your body, to Bhutakasham. There is a Ashura called Bandashura. I don't know. Yeah, Bandashura. You know the story about it. And in Lalita Sahasranamam, it comes in. Navaratri is celebrated mainly for that. How Ambar comes and vanquish the demons. So very simply, we can say all these bad qualities and all that. Therefore, we worship the goddess. But as Vedantic students, we must understand a bit more, deeper. So the Ashura, when Manmata, the desire, is destroyed by Advaita, the Parashivam, it becomes an ash, and one of those Shivagana, Chitrakudan, makes the ashes into a figure. The figure becomes, Shiva's gaze become enlightened being. And Brahma got very worried because a very all-powerful creature come out of this Shiva's anger and ash. And he exclaims Banda, Banda, and he becomes a Bandashura, and his Chitakasham becomes so big. He knows everything. He forget about Siddhakasham, Chittakasham. My mind is bigger. I am this. And he become evil in nature. So all the Sadgunas subsided. They're afraid of it. So they pray. So I become now a bad person. My ahankara, my evilness comes out. My subtle nature, my good qualities are subsiding now. What do I do? Then I pray, I do worship, I do all this. Then in my consciousness, in the Chitakasham, the effulgence comes in. The Sat comes in. Sat comes in, you become part of Satsang. Sat Vishayas comes to your mind. You always think about good things in life. And they subside, they fight, they destroy all these evil qualities. So the Ambal is destroying everything, driving from the head to toe. She goes to the Mooladhara. By the time your upper body, your mind, everything becomes pure, and you pray to her, well, I am perfectly fine, but I want to enjoy this bodily experience. The desire is gone. The Kama, Manmata has been killed. Can you please revive him? So I need to have some desire. I want to enjoy life. So the Ambal who is gone to the Mooladhara, she prays to Shiva as a Kameshwari, please revive Manmata. The Rati and Manmata becomes basically the consciousness, desires comes into us. That's why we get desires of this world. So the God blesses us, okay, go enjoy this embodiment, Bodhatma, enjoy it. So we are getting, therefore, desire, good food to eat, good music to listen to. But we forget, we don't have gratitude to the Ambal who gave this desire. What happened? We are completely engrossed in our desires and worldly stuff. We forget her. So she is now dormant, lying down in her Mooladhara chakra. You know, in yoga, so she's like kind of a snake or whatever. She's just dormant. She is full of viraga, taba. Her power is not shown. We got little power, 0.1% of power we got in our mind and body. We just joke around and waste our life. In gratitude, therefore, what we need to do is to go back and pray to this Mooladhara chakra, worship her, and make her, hold her hand, take her to where she came from, Chitakni, the Parabrahmam. Take her to the Shivam. Make her merge with the Shivam. That's why Lalita Sahasranamam finished with Shiva Aikya Rupini. It is our job to do. because it is something we need to do in gratitude. Of course, to make us do, okay, tantric yoga, all give you a lot of visions and chakras and all this stuff, and all to make you follow certain discipline. The Navratri has given us 9 days to think about this one. Okay, you can recite Nalva Sahasranamam, do puja, make sundal, make all this. We must enjoy it. Bodha Shakti. But we have to really contemplate that I am the Chitakni. And so we will finish it here. So this we complete the Atma Vicara. Sat Chit Sukha Swarupam is Atma. Now we must have a question in our mind. Okay, now how am I related to this world? If it is Chitakasham is bigger than me, how is the Chitakasham is made? You talk about Ambal coming in the mind, you give me all this kind of interesting metaphor, but I can see physical world. How does the physical world came about? Therefore, we are going to now discuss the next sessions, and in God willing, Srishti Vichara, how this whole world came in, how is Chitakasham came in. So we will stop it there. I wish you all a very happy Navratri celebration. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Someone can recite. Balaji can recite.
Okay. If somebody wants to recite, please. I'll
Is
put it
Natuji
on.
there?
I think I'll put that shloka on the
Text.
screen, so it'll be easier. So anybody? What about Bala Pandela? Okay. Okay. Asato ma satgamaya.
Asato ma satgamaya.
Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya.
Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya.
Amritangamaya.
Amritangamaya.
Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Raja. Thank you, Balaji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thank
from
you,
next class,
Balaji. Thank you, Raja.
Rhoda,